Today, we're very glad to be joined by Algernon Pharmaceuticals CEO, Christopher J. Moreau. Thanks again for joining us here at Stockhouse, Chris.
Thanks for the invitation, and glad to share some time with you.
We're glad to have you. Now, Chris, just to start off with, can you give us a brief introduction of yourself and an overview of the company?
So I'm Christopher J. Moreau. I'm the CEO of Algernon Pharmaceuticals. Algernon is a clinical stage drug development company. And as you mentioned in your intro, what's unique about Algernon is that we're not advancing new chemical entities forward into clinical trials. We're looking at compounds that are already approved. Typically, they're off patent, and they have a relatively strong safety history. We investigate these compounds for new potential uses and then move them into human trials as quickly and efficiently as possible. So we're basically looking for a new blockbuster drug out of an old drug. That's probably the easiest way to think about what Algernon's business model is.
Now, Chris, as I briefly mentioned in the intro, Algernon has started a major clinical research program on stroke focused on AP188. Can you tell us a bit more about the research going into the stroke program using DMT, also known as the spirit molecule? What is it? How did it come about, and how does it work?
Well, so dimethyltryptamine, DMT, is a naturally occurring substance in nature, in animals and in plants. It is suspected to be produced by the human brain, but it hasn't been scientifically confirmed. It's been used in ceremonies by certain South American tribes where it's a known psychedelic drug. So when you take DMT, there are some very specific, you go through a psychedelic experience. And it's been well documented by Dr. Rick Strassman of New Mexico in the 80s, did some significant phase 1 studies with DMT. And what interested Algernon about DMT is that it was shown in studies by a scientist by the name of Olson to help with neurogenesis and neuroplasticity. So it's helping brain cells, neurons, to not only grow, but to make new connections. And his studies confirmed as well that, importantly, a subpsychedelic dose is also effective for neurogenesis and neuroplasticity. Then an additional study done in Hungary showed in a rat model for stroke that when one side of the brain was tied off in this animal study, causing a stroke, they were exposed to DMT. There was a reduction of dead cells called an infarct area. The infarct volume was reduced, and the motor function of the rats were almost fully recovered within 30 days. So this was very telling that DMT, while it's known for its psychedelic effects, may very well be an exciting potential therapeutic for people who have suffered a stroke, helping the brain heal, helping it rewire, and reducing the deficit that people can suffer after they've had either an ischemic or a hemorrhagic stroke.